I was just teaching Get a Haircut to Somebody That I Know by George Thorogood.
Yeah.
I've always thought that song was quite ironic. So,
Yeah, you missed the point of that, Steve. Hey guys, thanks for being here for another acoustic guitar workshop. I'm Dan Dinley, founder of guitarzoom.com, and this is my good friend Steve Stine. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Great, man.
Good.
Guys, thank you for being here. We really appreciate you showing up to these live sessions that we do for you. We hope that you enjoy them. If you do, please like, share, comment, put your questions in the old chat box over there and let us know what you're thinking. If you have any questions, if you have any ideas or future topics, please let us know all of that stuff. If you'd like to be notified of when we do these, please subscribe and hit the notify button, and that way you'll get a little notice that says, hey, we're doing this and it's going to be live if you want to come and join us. If you happen to miss any of the previous sessions, and we've done a lot of these, it'll be available for you on a playlist on the YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Check out the playlist. Lots of great information there for you. If you want to learn all of this stuff, keep watching. If you want to learn how to master your acoustic guitar from start to finish, you should check out Steve's new course. It's called Acoustic Guitar by Steve Stine. Put a lot of work into it. It's a great A to Z course. Everybody gets it, loves it, and I think you might like it too. You can check that out at the old guitarzoom.com. Steve, what are we going to talk about today, my friend?
I thought it would be fun to talk about just the basic setup of what a 12-bar blues is. So if somebody
Cool.
doesn't know what 12-bar blues means, I thought we would talk about that a little bit. We're not going to go into an hour and a half dissertation of the 12-bar blues, but we will just kind of go into the basics of what it is and how it works. So when people talk about blues, what makes blues so interesting versus other styles of music is when you say something like, when you say rock, or you say country, or you say jazz, or you say metal, you're talking about a billion different things. When you say blues, you're talking about a lot of different things too, no doubt about it. But when you say blues, the first thing that people think about is a particular chord progression or a series of chords that happens. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to make blues out to not be a kind of multifaceted style of music. There's all kinds of things to it. But people, guitar players, musicians in general, tend to find the blues a real great place to start in terms of a language to speak to each other, because if I didn't know Dan very well and he and I got together and we were going to play together and I said, hey, let's play some blues together, he's going to have, and you will too in just a little bit here, he'd have an understanding of what it is that I'm saying. If I say, let's play some rock together, it could mean a billion different things. So oftentimes when we talk about blues, we're talking about this specific kind of chord progression we refer to as a 12-bar blues or a 12-measure blues, measure and bar being the same thing. So what we're going to do is I'm going to explain to you the 12-bar blues in the simplest form. And again, you're going to be able to study far more of this in the guitar course. But you have to understand that when we talk about blues, 12-bar blues, what we're doing is we're talking about three chords that are being used together. And you've already seen these three chords in some of the other things that we've done together. For instance, we were talking about how G, C, and D in another video. Dan and I were talking about how G, C, and D are like brothers or like siblings, right? So if we think about it this way. If we were to talk about the key of a song, what the key of a song means is when you say the key of G, what you're doing is you're telling the person G is the main note. G is the main chord. I'm going to go other places, but I want to keep coming back to G. If you said I was in the key of C, C is the main note or C is the main chord. And I'm going to go to other places, but I'm going to come back to C. Now, those other places are really important, and we can have a whole conversation just on that. But understand that if I was in the key of G, what I want to do is I want to focus on three chords. The first chord, the fourth chord, and the fifth chord. So think about it this way. In music, we have A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Those are our notes. Okay, we don't have an H or a Q or something like that. So if I was in the key of A, and I'm making this very simple for you, so please just kind of trust me on this. So if we were in the key of A, the first note would be A. The second note would be B. The third note would be C. Fourth note D. Fifth note E. So A, B, C, D, E. The chords would also be A, B, C, D, and E. Okay? So we're not worried about B or C. What we want to do is we want to talk about the first, the fourth, and the fifth, which would be A, B, C, D, E. A, D, E. 1, 4, 5. Those three chords, A, D, and E, are the chords that make up 12-bar blues. And obviously, if you watch the video that we did on those songs that we did, those easy songs, this 1, 4, 5 is what we're talking about when Dan mentioned that. So again, don't worry about sharps and flats and majors and minors and all this other stuff. Just understand that that first and that fourth and that fifth are what we're talking about. So if I went to the guitar now and I played A and D and E, I could make a 12 measure or 12 bar sequence using those three chords. Okay? So the way the schematic is set up for 12 bar blues, I always think of it as, it's 12 measures obviously, so I think of it as groups of 4. So I have 3 different groups of 4. Okay? So just imagine this with me here. So the top group here is the first 4 measures, the middle group, next 4 measures, the bottom group, last 4 measures. So the top group there is the 1 chord for all 4 measures. Okay? So what I'm going to do is for 4 measures, I'm going to play my 1 chord. In this case, I'm in the key of A, so my first chord is A. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. And I'm giving it a little bit of a blues rhythm, and we can change that up later. But so that's my first 4 measures. It's just very simply in your head, just think those first 4 measures are just the 1 chord. In this case, it's A.
Cool.
The next 4 measures, the middle section here, is split into 2. We're going to go to the 4 chord for 2 measures and then back to the 1 chord for 2 measures. Now remember, the 4 chord, A, B, C, D, is D. So we're going to go to D for 2 measures, and then we're going to go back to A for 2 measures. So now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, the last 4 measures is kind of where the action starts happening. In the last 4 measures, we're going to call this the turnaround. This is what tells everybody, hey, we're going to come into the end of this thing, this 12 measures, and we want to start all over again and do this again and again and again and again. That's what blues does. So the last 4 measures are going to go 5, 4, 1, 5. So we have to plug in what is 5, what is 4, what is 1, right? So 5, A, B, C, D, E. So we're going to play the E chord for a measure, and then the 4 chord is D for a measure, and then the 1 chord is A again, and then we're going to turn it around with the 5 chord, which is E. So we're playing E, D, A, E. And we're going to get to the 1, 4, 5 thing in just a minute here. I'm going to explain that a little bit further so you understand why I'm even saying it that way. Okay? So now my turnaround goes E, D, A. Then back to my E. And then I start all over again. So let me play the entire 12-bar sequence. And if you've got your guitar handy, play along with me. So we're going to start on A. Remember, 4 measures of A, or 1 chord. And then 2 and 2. 2 measures of the 4 chord, which is D. 2 measures of the 1 chord, which is A. So 2D, 2A. And then we got our turnaround. That's our bottom line here. So E, D, A, E. You might even write that on a piece of paper. Okay? So here we go. 1, 2, ready. 4 measures now. A, 2, 3, 4. Now we got to go to the middle, so we're going to the D chord for 2 measures. Then we're going to go back to the A for 2 measures. Now we're going to that bottom section, so here's where our 5 chord, the E, comes in. D, A, then E again. Then we start all over. And that is the basic makeup of a 12-bar blues.
Love it. So guys, if you're just joining in with us right now, we're talking about the 12-bar blues. Steve's laying it out for you in a super simple way. We're not talking about dominant 7th chords. We're not talking about funky like rhythms and shuffle stuff. We're just talking about these are the most fundamental chords that you would use in a 12-bar blues. So that's where we are at this point in the discussion. So if you're just now joining us, welcome. And And let's continue on here. We're talking about the old 12-bar blues.
Okay, so now let's explain why I'm even saying 1, 4, and 5 in the first place. Why not just say A, D, and E? And this is why. Maybe I don't want to be in the key of A. Maybe if I get together with Dan and we're going to play blues, Dan says, hey, let's play blues in the key of G. Well, okay, so what does that mean to me? So again, I don't need to know a lot about theory right now. I just need to know that if somebody said the key of G, that tells me G is the main note or the main chord. I'm going to go to other places, but I'm going to come back to G. But when we're talking about the blues, we need to know the 1, the 4, and the 5, right? So we have G, A, B, C, and D. G, C, and D. And again, not that this all has to make a lot of sense to you right now. It will eventually, right? But understand that G, C, and D, if you watch the video that we did with those easy songs, you see G, C, and D together all the time. Well, this is why. Because the 1, 4, 5 is very common for us to use, okay? So I went G was my 1 chord, A was my 2, I don't care, B was my 3, I don't care, C is my 4, D is my 5. So now I take that same template that I just told you about, the 3 groups of 4, and I simply plug in a G whenever I need to play 1, a C whenever I need to play 4, and a D whenever I need to play 5. And that's why it's important to understand the construct of the 12-bar blues, the 1, 4, 5, because then you can decide you want to play the blues in the key of D, or the key of A, or the key of E, or the key of G, or the key of C, or whatever it might be, right? So now if we were going to play the 12-bar blues in the key of G, I'd have 4 measures of 1. Remember, I'm thinking of that top line there. And then the next line I'd have 4, 4, 1, 1. We talked about that. So I'd have to think, well, what is my 4 chord? G, A, B, C. Okay, so I'm going to play C for 2 measures, and then G for 2 measures. That's my middle section. And then remember the bottom we call the turnaround. And that's where we get to the 5 chord, right? Well, the 5 chord, G, A, B, C, D, is a D. So we have D, C, G, D. Now, needless to say, if any of that doesn't make sense, of course we go through that in the guitar course. We go through that very thorough, but it's important to understand that as musicians, we don't always just say G, C, and D, or A, D, and E. That's fine. But there are times when we use a language that we call theory. And theory is extracting the colors, right? Not thinking of it as the key of G, or the key of A, or the key of D, because I don't know what key you want to play in. I have no idea. If you joined us for the capo video that we did, the capo one that we did, we talked about the reasons why someone would use a capo. And oftentimes you might use a capo to accommodate a singer, to find the right key for a singer. Well, if I was playing blues with somebody, I might have to change the key to accommodate that singer, right? I'm a guitar player. I should be able to play in lots of different keys. But that singer can only sing so low or so high, right? You're born with the voice you have. So, you know, I might be playing blues in the key of A, and then that singer says, yeah, that's a little high, so I move it to the key of G. Maybe that works better for that singer, you see? So that's why it's important to be able to think about the blues, the 12-bar blues, as 1, 4, and 5, and not just as A, D, and E, or something like that.
Mm-hmm. I love it, Steve. Guys, you mentioned a couple of things. I want to mention a couple of resources for you that we have. The playlist for the acoustic guitar workshop is going to be on the YouTube channel. You can watch the entire thing. A couple of things that you may or may not have seen already, if you haven't been with us for this entire series that we're doing on acoustic guitar, is ocean strumming. There's a video on there on ocean strumming, which is basically breaking out of kind of like strict strumming patterns and kind of mixing it up a little bit. Bouncing technique, where there's an entire session just on bouncing technique, which is how to change chords fast and easy. And then we did one on 10 easy songs that you can play that use 5 chords or less. And then we did one on capo, and there's several more of them that I'm not even thinking of off the top of my head, but you want to check out those on the playlist. It's called the Acoustic Guitar Workshop series that we're doing for you. And if you enjoy that series, I think you'll also enjoy Steve's course. It's called Acoustic Guitar by Steve Stine, and it's available at guitarzoom.com. Go ahead, buddy.
That's it. That's all I want to talk about. It's just the basic setup of 12-bar blues. And
oh, man.
1, 4, and 5 meant, yeah.
I thought we were going to go into dominant sevenths and shuffle rhythms and all that stuff.
No. Just enough to get them going.
Okay. Well, if Steve won't tell you, I will. If you want to make those sound a little bit more bluesy, just turn all those chords you just taught you into dominant seventh chords. If you know what that is, don't worry if you don't. But if you want to turn them into dominant sevenths, you can do the exact same thing that he just showed you and just add a 7th chord on there, and it would sound even bluesier. Okay, my friend, thank you so very much. Thank all of you for being here. Really appreciate it. We're going to do another series of videos for you. Actually, we have several. How many more of these planned out? I think 3 or 4, 2 or 1, or we're going to do some more.
I think we have 1 or 2 more, I think.
Okay, 1 or 2 more. We're doing an acoustic guitar workshop series for you guys. As always, thank you so much for being here. And if you want to check out the new course, it's called Acoustic Guitar by Steve Stein at guitarzoom.com. Also, hey, don't forget about the podcast. I keep forgetting to mention that. I noticed we had like 1,500 downloads of that thing recently.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, we don't even know how to tell people about it other than you should go listen to the podcast. I don't know where do you go to get a podcast? I don't know. But if you Google like Steve Stein, it's called the Steve Stein Guitar Podcast. You guys might want to check that out. And also playsongs.com. If you enjoy learning songs, we have an entire membership there for you that you can go and check out. It's called playsongs.com, and Steve teaches hundreds of songs in that thing. So if you're into that, might be something you want to check out. And of course, the course, Acoustic Guitar by Steve Stein. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate you. Thank you, Steve.